What's up, family? So, in this here interview, I'm having a conversation with my sister in Christ, Faith, and Faith here was actually a preacher's granddaughter. So she grew up in the church, seeing how people operated in the church, and in this story, we're gonna go through how seeing those things kind of made her question things, made her fall away, and then we're gonna talk about how certain trials and triumphs actually brought her back to the faith. So, hope y'all enjoyed this video, and peace.
Here, you can have this one.
Okay.
Alright. Welcome back to our interviews. First of all, do you have any suggestions on what I should call this? I was thinking, what if I called it daily bread interviews or two loaves interviews?
I kind of like daily bread. I'm not gonna
daily bread interviews.
Daily bread interviews, or you could just say instead, just drop the interviews. Just say daily bread. Oh no, keep the interviews. Keep the interviews. I like daily bread interviews. Though.
Daily bread interviews.
Are you doing it daily?
Probably not,
but it's still. I kind of like that. I'm not gonna lie.
Welcome back to the daily bread interviews.
That has a ring to it.
Here today with my good friend, my sister in Christ, Faith.
Hola.
One thing that I can say about Faith is that over the last few months since we've known each other, there's been a lot of, I'll say, drama to say the least. And throughout everything, I don't think I've ever seen her not smiling or not positive about it. Don't get sentimental about a situation. Can I ask, what is it that keeps you so positive throughout hard situations?
I think honestly, just keeping a glass half full mindset, just thinking about all the good things that are still to come, and that things could ultimately be worse, and not always dwell on the negative and all of the bad things that are happening right now. We're still together, even though we might be bickering or whatever the case may be. We're still all a family, or just being, I don't know. I feel like I've always gone by this saying that says it takes more muscles in your body, in your face, to frown than it does to smile. It can literally change somebody's whole entire day just smiling at them.
Yeah.
I don't know. See, look at me smiling right now, y'all.
That's so true. Can I ask, and I want to say real quick, I might add something that I already know.
Okay.
But
that's cool. It's cool.
Okay. So, could you kind of walk us through your life in Christ and how you found Christ to begin with, and then you just give a brief overview of your journey as a whole?
Okay. So I was born and raised in the church. I'm a PK's granddaughter. So with that, I was at church basically every single week for 3 or 4 times a week. I got the Bible classes, I was in choir, and that's where I first got introduced into my relationship with God and just fully immersed into Christianity and whatnot. I can say there was a lot of things I didn't believe when I was a child, and when I got 18, I actually just completely separated myself from the church. I completely stopped going and everything, and just kind of was well, I kind of know what's right from wrong. I'm gonna just go off the moral part of it. And what changed that was actually, I had 2 situations that changed that, and they both happened in 1 year. I got into a car accident. No, I got arrested on my birthday for my 20th birthday. And then later on that year, I got into a car accident the same year. And I was just what is going on? Literally 2 days after my car accident, I ended up at church and they were praying over me, and they were just I went up to the altar and I was just talking. And the minister I was talking to didn't even know what was going on, but he just said God, the devil's gonna try to take your life and you're not gonna be ready. And somebody literally walked past me and saw I had a cast, and I was what happened? And I was oh, I just got in a car accident. He was the devil already tried to take your life. I think from that point on, it just made me realize God is so real. He's not somebody to be played with. And from that point on, my relationship with God. I started getting curious again, started actually doing my own research and coming up with my like the beliefs that I truly believed in, not just what my parents were telling me or the congregation was telling me, what I really believed in based off the word that I was reading. And then I gave my life back to God April of this year, right before my birthday. Right before my birthday. Right before that 2-year mark of that arrest, which was crazy. Like, it was just like God was really doing a full 180 on my life, truly.
So, what happened during the night of that arrest?
So, I ended up going to the bar with some friends from work. It was this like little hole in the wall because obviously I was underage, so you know they weren't checking ID. And my best friend at the time, she picked me up, and we went there. We had somebody else in the car. She picked me up, went there. It was no problems, but then we had to drop this person home. Me and her lived up the street, so we dropped somebody off in a completely different neighborhood, and we were driving past somebody's house, and I was just like, oh, let's go there. And I was like, wait, no, like, let's go home. So, like, even in that little span of time, I think, honestly, if I wouldn't even have said that, the whole situation wouldn't even happen. Because it was a detour. But anyways, we got pulled over right in front of my house. We were smoking in the car, drunk, and we got pulled over right in front of my house. And her license plate was hanging off in the back. And so he comes up, he's like, hey, your license plate's hanging, do you have registration, da da. And then he smells the weed in the car. He's like, have y'all been smoking? She says no. He asks us both to step out the car. And they find a mason jar full of shrooms in her backseat. It was like a quarter of the way full. It wasn't all the way full. But they found a jar about this big with shrooms in it. And so he's like, whose are these? I'm like, they're not mine. And she's like, they're not mine either. They're my uncle's. Because she said, like, her uncle smokes in the car. And he was doing work on the car. And so that's why, like, she didn't end up having, like, her registration or anything. That's why she didn't have, like, all the details, because her uncle was doing active work on the car. And he was like, well, if it's neither of y'all's shrooms, then it's both of y'all's. And I'm like, please just let me go home. Like, my house is right there. I can literally see my house. And he was like, I can't let y'all go home because I don't know who this is. So they booked both of us that night. We went to Bolingbrook PD. And because it was considered a felony offense, possession of psychedelic is a class 4 felony offense. They transferred us straight to Will County until we had an online court date. And they ended up dropping charges about like 36 hours after we got in. But we were in Will County, like we spent the night at Will County, like the actual prison. Like, I know Bolingbrook PD holding cell. Like, no, we were literally in there with multiple other people, literally waiting for us to get processed. And then when we did get processed, they put us into actual, like a full cell block, an observation cell block, until the charges got dropped, which is a whole crazy experience. Never again, y'all. Man. Never again.
Faith wasn't a big dog.
He had to see the killers. No, that is not a flex. I was scared for my life. I was praying like in there. I was like, God, if you get me out of this, I will never talk to her again. I will change my life, like, because I just felt like there's no. If I was living the way I should have been living, I should have never been in that situation. Or even if I would have just trusted my gut, which ultimately I felt like God was really talking to me and speaking to me before I went out. Because I had just came in the house. I've been out all day. It was my birthday. And I just came in the house and she's talking about going to the bar. And I just kept saying to myself, I was telling my mom, like, I don't want to go. Like, I don't really feel like going. I really don't want to go. It's late. She's like, well, if you don't want to go, don't go. Best friend, she was celebrating with me for my birthday, and God was really speaking to me like that. And then like, don't go, but I just pushed it aside, and the worst thing that I could imagine happened that night. So after that, I changed my life around for a little bit, and then I still went back, and then the car accident happened. I was like, okay, can't let it get no worse than this. Okay, I really gotta lock it in it. You know, stop playing with God. Literally, stop playing, because my life almost was gone. Yeah.
I think that goes to show just how important it is to be obedient to God the first time and to trust your gut.
Mm-hmm.
Because 9 times out of 10, trusting your gut is literally just the Holy Spirit. Like 9 times out of 10. But I wanted to ask, how has that relationship changed or altered the way you think or move about certain friendships? And not even necessarily just that one specific friendship, but how has it altered the way you treat other friendships as well?
Well, for me and her friendship, that was the end of it right there. Like, we never spoke. We spoke maybe one time outside of that. We never spoke again after that. Like, that was the end of it. But for relationships, just in general going forward, I think that I have a really good way of being able to separate situations and just being able to realize like everybody's not like this and just not putting up like big guards and whatnot. I do for sure check people's cars now. Call me crazy. I will do a full walkthrough 360 of your car before I walk in the car. Like, but other than that, I think I've really just kind of come to peace with like some people. That's the way some people act, and you can't put that or project that on everybody. Just the same way, like in a relationship, you can't say because one person cheated on you, all men cheat. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just being able to separate the incident from other people and not being able to bring that baggage along with me, truly being able to heal with new friendships and old friendships and just not letting that like hinder what I have going on. Because that was a situation with one person. It's not like that's happened with anybody else in my life. And a lot of other people in my life that heard about it was like, I would have never did you like that. So, you know, just being able to, having the grace to not put that on anybody else because it's nobody else's fault but me and that one person I was with. So, yeah.
That's good. That's very good. I think it shows like the heart of forgiveness and the heart of, I think it shows that you should be able to forgive, but you don't always have to let people back in to give them another chance to do the same thing to you. So over the course of the years, right? You said you fell away, then those 2 major incidents happened. What was the process of you like after the 2 major incidents until you refound Christ? What was the process of that like?
I think it was honestly working through a lot of the misconceptions and things I didn't agree with in my childhood. I think that was my biggest hindrance. I think the devil did a wonder on my church when we were teenagers. It really got all of us teenagers to be stuck on one thing that our pastor was saying to the point where it kind of dismantled all of us from believing in church. And kind of just like going back to that original moment and just really realizing like, why did I fall away? What actually happened? What steps were actually taken to make me fall away? And then counteracting that with going into the word, digging into the word and talking to some people about it and really praying on it and just being like, where do you want me to be, God? Because I'm not doing this for the approval of the church. I'm not doing this for the approval of my pastor. I'm doing this for approval with you. And I think that just being completely honest with God and being transparent as to where I was, like I was smoking so heavy, like I couldn't stop smoking. And I used to think that I wasn't addicted until I realized like I can't go 2 weeks without buying something. And just being honest with God and just saying like, I'm really struggling with this. And same thing with alcohol. I would be like throwing up like I'm never drinking again, and then I'm out the next week drinking. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like being honest to being like, why am I doing this? Why am I feeling this way? What is making me? What has this hold over me to continue to go down that path? And how do I want to change? What do I want my life to look like? And just really realizing that I am not the author of my life. I think that was a very humbling experience and it made me lean into God so much more because I just realized like my life is not my own. Like I make the decisions, but I don't make the consequences. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, whatever happens, I'm not choosing the consequence for whatever has happened. And so just realizing that like this is God's world. This is not my world. This is not Faith's world. This is God's world. I am His at the end of the day, and just humbling myself to realize that and to fully submit to God. I got to a point where I was literally like contemplating what I wanted my birthday to be like, just based off of what it has been and how it's been, all of drinking and partying, let's do this, let's do that, and just realizing like I don't want that. I don't want to fall back into that. And it just came perfect timing. Like I don't know, like it came perfect timing. When God calls you, it's just perfect. Like I was just at church. My actually Sister Candace, I know you know her as Miss Candace, I think. Miss Wright, I guess, at JJC. She's what goes to my church. Yeah, she goes to my church. She's been in my church my whole life. And she invited me at school to the revival that we were having at my church. She was like, it's the last day, come on Sunday. I'm like, why not? You know? And I actually had gotten a couple people text me about the message that he was going to preach. They were saying like, oh, he's low-key a little confusing because he's been teaching this whole revival. So I got a couple people saying like, yeah, he's a little confusing with his message. You might not get, we've been confused for the past all day. Still recording? Yeah. Oh, period. But no, like she's saying like we've been confused for the past couple services. And just for him to, so I was like bracing myself for the worst. And he literally preached the cleanest, most clear message I've ever heard in my life, to the point where I was getting text messages back like, I'm so sorry, like we just sent you off about this guy because that was a great message. Like the cleanest message that I ever heard, like not ever heard, but like that was an amazing message. And it was just straight to the point. And he wasn't even long-winded. He was actually short. I was like, whoa, like. So I went to the altar, and like my church is like my family. So like my goddad and my grandpa were praying over me, and we're just saying like, you know, my goddad was just like, you're an example to like, you know, the people that are coming up in the church, and just what type of example do you really want to be, and who do you really want to be in God? Like, what do you really want? What relationship do you really want with God? Do you want a relationship where you're scared to go to sleep every night because you don't know if you're going to make heaven your home? Or do you really want a full-blown relationship with God where you know where you stand and you know that you're going to make the heaven your home? And I just broke down crying. I was just like, I don't want to fight it anymore. Like, I don't want to fight this feeling to come back anymore. And he was like, he started crying with me. He was just sitting up there sobbing, and I just confessed my sins and gave it all up. I got up, and like my church is they're big on like getting on the mic and being like, oh, I confess my sins, but we had like basically church was dismissed, and I was still on my knees, and I had gotten up, and my God that had started walking towards the mic for me to do it. He couldn't even get to the mic. Like the whole congregation was coming up, crying, giving me hugs, like because they knew what I was going to say, you know. And it just felt like I was home. Like it felt like I was exactly where I needed to be again. It felt like I knew my place again. So yeah, and I haven't doubted it not one day. I'm not gonna lie. It's been hard, but yeah, I no regrets. No regrets at all.
That's beautiful. So,
what's happening? Oh.
All right, we'll start wrapping up. But, so there is a verse in Matthew 5 where Jesus says, he's speaking to the people, and the people include you and I. He says, you are the light of the world. He says, a city on a hill can't be hidden, and no one lights a lamp and hides it, essentially. Mm-hmm. And I think that is something that you exemplify very well, because like everywhere you go, you're just like radiant, you're shining, you're always smiling, very big. What advice would you give to somebody who perhaps is a preacher's kid or grandkid, or they grew up in a church and they're starting to enter those teenage years where, you know, the rebellion is starting, The parties are picking up, the drugs are around, the girls, the guys, it's all getting very tempting.
Mm-hmm.
What would you tell a group of kids who are in the faith and they're heading towards that way?
I think I would first start with saying that this is not your parents' story. I think a lot of the times, as being kids growing up in that realm, you think that because your parents are saved, you're saved, or because your parents are doing this, then you're good. Like, no, you have your own relationship with God, and you need to do the study if you really do want to be a child of God. You need to study it, do the research to be knowledgeable of what is right and what is wrong. And then I think, of course, like the most cliche thing to say, like, don't do drugs, don't drink, it's so overrated. Once you get down there, it's so hard to get up from that. And I think I would just recite something that my pastor used to say. He said the devil will take you further than where you want to go, keep you longer than you want to stay. Like, you don't even know how far you think that you can control it, but your life is not your own. Like, once you give yourself away to those devices and you turn away from God, you're now the devil's. Like, you never get your own 100% own free will. You never get it, because once you turn away from God, the devil is waiting right there to snatch you up and drag you as far as he can take you until you turn back to God. And I just think I would just encourage them that, like, living this life is honestly the best way that you could live. And just seeing friends that didn't grow up with that background and how they kind of like sprawled out. And even with me sprawling out, I kind of didn't do as much as my friends did because of that background. Like, don't be ashamed of being a preacher's kid. Don't be ashamed of being growing up in a church, going to church, and you can recite a Bible verse. Don't be ashamed of that. That's a beautiful thing. Like, you're getting the truth of the world. Like, you can't hide that. And that's something that you should be bragging on. That's something that you should be showing other people and being a blessing to other people about. People shouldn't be confused when they see you, like, oh, you a preacher's kid, but you doing this on the side. Like, you don't want to confuse anybody else to Jesus Christ. Like, that's your responsibility as somebody who knows the truth and even knows even a little bit of the truth. You know you're not supposed to be doing this, but yet you confusing somebody else and steering them further away from God. That's on you too. Like, that's also your responsibility. Even as a teenager, I used to be like, yeah, my mom always wears skirts. And they be like looking at me like, but you wearing pants at school right now. Like, hey, I snuck it in. Like, you know, like confusing my friends literally. Like, and you can't live both sides of the stick. You got to stay on one side. You cannot be on the fence, because even if you're on the fence, the devil will snatch you up off that fence like real quick, and you won't even know what hit you. So just taking pride in the fact that you grew up the way that a lot of kids really would have wanted to have grown up, in a healthy environment, in learning the truth, in a congregation that isn't messy, they ain't sleeping around with each other, they ain't taking the money to go buy a yacht, like some genuine, real, true preachings and teachings. And you can get that really from a lot of other places, and just realizing like this is all you've known, like that's a blessing. And just realizing how much of a blessing your life is before you want to turn around and throw it away for drugs and money and parties, the stuff that's all temperamental.
Okay, on the flip side of that, what advice would you give to those people that are in the congregation, the preachers, the reverends, all those type people who may not be running a quote unquote tight ship, or maybe they slipping up and showing bad examples? What advice would you give to them? from the point of view of you seeing it and experiencing it.
I think that I would just be like, you're confusing the masses. Like, as a leader, you're confusing. And I think that should be, if you do have some fear of God, that should be scary to you. As a preacher that is claiming that you are in the will of God, and people are seeing holes in your story, that's not a good thing. Like, that's something that you should wake up to. I'm confused by you, but you're a leader. I should never be confused by any of my leaders in the church. Not to that extent, and even if I am, they should be able to clarify to me and come with book, scripture, and verse as to why they're doing this or whatever the case may be, and not twisting the words or anything like that. And I think just honestly identifying with them and just realizing, like, just reminding them of the role, like, and just, I don't know, I think just because my mouth is the way it is, I would just be like, you are a public figure and you should not be a public figure, and people can't trust you. People can't trust all the things that you're doing. They don't feel confident in the way that you are being a leader, and that is alarming. And ultimately, you'll have to face God for that. At the end of the day, that's between you and God. But you're also pushing people away, and you need to know that and recognize that before you make it worse. You know.
Mm-hmm. Well, Faith, I want to thank you for your time.
Of course.
This was a wonderful interview. This is gonna be the one that hit 1 million. Watch.
Please, no way.
Figure it in there. Thank y'all for watching the Daily Bread interview.
Y'all stay tuned. More to come. We'll keep picking up.